and you should pull up the rhetorical bookmark. And I want to focus today, or this video, on understanding the three appeals in argument. And when someone's trying to persuade someone else, they engage in these three types of appeals. And we're going to take a look at this ad because I think it helps us see the dimensions of those appeals. So we're going to start with ethos. Ethos has to do with the speaker, right, or the person who's creating the ad, and in this case, it's the American Bar Association. Okay, so that's in a sense the speaker, and there are three aspects that the speaker wants to communicate to his audience, and that he is a rational person, he's benevolent, and he's moral. Okay, so let's look at how appeals of ethos are working in this particular ad. Rationality, okay? This is a security blanket, okay? So there is some cause effect. This is a blanket that has "We the People." This is the Declaration of Independence, and that provides safety. And so the rationality of that document, okay, and its effect, its cause, okay, and effect is to produce a sense of security here. So we've got a logical movement going on here. And there's also some other logic, is that a blanket, right, is analogous to the Constitution. It gives us comfort. So in terms of the rationality of the argument here, we're making an analogy argument. So rationality deals with all the elements under logos. Okay, so if the speaker uses definition or comparison, classification, causality, etc., all of these items, he's demonstrating that he's a rational person. Okay, so that's clear here. Now, the other two elements, and remember, we're talking about the American Bar Association. That's the speaker, right? So, is the speaker benevolent, kind? Well, if we look at this image, we have a blanket, a teddy bear, a young child who's peacefully asleep. Okay, this is an image of kindness, of serenity, and so in fact, the Bar Association is telling people it's a very kind organization. It cares for young people and vulnerable people. In terms of its arete, its morality, clearly security is a moral word, and the whole image of the protection of an innocent child is a moral obligation, right? We protect those who are vulnerable in our society, right? So that certainly is giving us a sense that there's a moral reason behind this ad. And of course, the teddy bear is very much an image of kindness and benevolence. So one thing I want you to think about is there are lots of details of this text that can be explained in many different ways. So, for instance, we pointed to the teddy bear as sort of a kind piece of evidence to support the ethos, the anoia of the speaker. But it's also an appeal to emotion. It's an emotional image of safety, right, and love. And so we're getting into these emotional appeals, the pathos, and um, lots of details create emotional appeals. The age of the child, right? This is a young child, probably 5 or something like that. And um, so this produces this image is very emotional with the teddy bear and notice the fingers here that are on the teddy bear holding the teddy bear. This is pathos, right? This is an emotional image of innocence and vulnerability and protection and love. Okay, now pathos is already also deals with diction, words, right? The words here, security blanket. Security is a very emotional word, and blanket too has associations of comfort and protection. So in many ways we have appeals to pathos as well. Now, and we've already touched a little bit on logos, right? So logic also helps communicate that the speaker is logical. But let's take a look at some of the different logical appeals here. We have induction and deduction. So in many ways, security blanket is the claim, is the argument. And then the proof and the evidence is right here in the imagery. So in many ways, this ad is moving, you could say, deductively. This is the claim. So when we argue deductively, we start with a claim and then we provide support. It's like a Deegan paper, right? Deduction, Deegan paper. You have the thesis and then you have the support. Induction is when you have the evidence and then you draw a conclusion. Now, some may say that this really is an inductive ad because we're first drawn to the imagery of innocence and childhood, and then we come down to the end and we see the claim and the main argument. So we could say that this ad probably is moving inductively because our eyes are moved first toward the evidence, right? And then we see the final claim. And that, so probably this is most likely an inductive that's a little bit more convincing there. So then we have other things, authoritative sources. The American Bar Association has authority. It's the organization that governs lawyers and attorneys. We don't have any stats here. Do we have definition, comparison, classification, causality, contrary? What this ad is doing is it's defining what a security blanket is, and that is the Constitution. So we very much have an appeal to logic of definition here. We're doing a little bit of comparison, right? So we're comparing the image of a blanket to the Constitution. So our logic is comparison here. We're not doing any classification. We're not doing too much causality or contrary. So this ad, the point here is to realize we've got all three types of arguments, and we want to see how in 12 Angry Men, how do appeals to ethos and pathos and logos play a part. We'll talk about in the next video some other ads and some videos of